Hi everyone, I'm Sin. Welcome to the Book Nook. Today we're gonna do, I don't even know what to call this. This is books I have read after watching the docu-series Hellier. I have to show you that I'm wearing the Hellier shirt. Look at my hair. Okay, Hellier. Notice Hellier shirt, Mothman hat. All right. So if you haven't seen Hellier or even know what I'm talking about, it is a must-see docu-series if you have even an inkling of interest in the paranormal or weird stuff or are just bored and run out of stuff to watch and that might pique your interest. I can talk, sort of. Basically, the series is 2 seasons. You can watch it for free on Amazon Prime. They also have a website you can go to that's hellier.tv where you can watch it. I'll put the links down in the channel after this so you can click on it if you'd like to check it out and see it. And one might say, oh, how many books could one read from watching one docu-series? Well, so far 16. And then there's more, but the 16 books I'm going to talk about were specifically inspired from watching Hellier, from being part of the Paramuseum that Greg and Dana Newkirk run. So what is Hellier? Let's start there. The docuseries, basically it all starts out with an email that Greg Newkirk gets about some strange creature activity of possible goblins or alien type creatures that is happening in Hellier, Kentucky. And this spirals and leads them down a strange road filled with synchronicities and weird events. It's so good and it's so enchanting, and I've watched it through twice. There's 2 seasons. There's hopes that a 3rd is being made. Currently they're working on another thing right now called The Crone, so we're looking forward to that too. The documentary was made by Greg and Dana Newkirk and co-produced by Carl Pfeiffer and Connor James Randall. Tyler Strand is also involved in all of this as well, and this is the primary group that makes up who is involved with the docuseries. Also, our friend John Tenney is in it too, and he makes an appearance or 2 in it. I highly recommend it. It's amazing. You almost get like a glimpse of, just like I said, it's so enchanting, what could be almost like real magic. So that's just, I hope that explanation is decent to make you want to be like, what is she talking about? What is this? So yeah, if you like weird stuff, I highly recommend Hellier. Please check it out. Like I said, I'll put the links down in the channel and you can check it out. So I'm going to show you I can't lift this pile of books without it tumbling over. So we're just going to put a picture of it up here. I took a picture because, so there they are. Some of these books are really old. Some are a newer, nicer version. These are books that they had mentioned or are featured in the series. Also, their whole community with the paranormal museum that they run. They're a huge reading community. They have a book club with all the research that goes into the paranormal and all this stuff. People, they read a lot. They read a lot of books, and I love it. And that also is a big draw for me because I like to read. So I'm going to dig into this giant pile and show you all the weird stuff I have read since watching Hellier. I kind of put them in order of size, and I'm just going to start from the top and grab the smallest book and then work my way down to the bottom. So the first one, and these were not read in the order I'm going to show them to you. I kind of read them it was 16 books. So this took me quite a while to read. It probably took over a year, I would imagine. The first book is The Under People. Let's put that up there. One of the most provocative books of the year. Amazing documented facts about the bizarre inhabitants of the center of the earth. That's right. A little bit of Hollow Earth going on with this one. So yeah, this book, it's old too. I forget when this was written. Well, this copyright is from 1969. Okay. This is one of the ones. And this book, it's out of print. I think It originally looks like it cost 75 cents. I want to say I paid $30 or $35 for this because Hellier is amazing and all these books are wild and they took me through the freaking Looking Glass. All right, so that's one of the first ones I read, The Under People, but not in this particular order. As I said, I just have a pile stacked next to me and I'm grabbing them as I go and I'm going to make a big mess all over the desk. The next one I read is Earth's Secret Inhabitants. There's that. Another one that was old and probably cost me way more than it originally was. This used to be $1.95. I probably paid like 30 or 40 bucks for this. I had the money at the time. It was fine. So yeah, this talks about cryptids and all kinds of like weird stuff. There's basically on the cover what looks like harpies. They look like harpies to me. And like the shadow image looks like a Bigfoot. As I said, I'm into some weird stuff. So yeah, Earth's Secret Inhabitants. This one. All right, what else we got here? Next, I got this other one, Between Two Worlds by Nandor Fodor. And this one is a collection of different stuff, like ESP, dreams, magic spells, hauntings, healings, crazy weird phenomena. It's a bunch of different like sound bites of all this weird stuff and weird happenings of the phenomena. Yeah. I'm afraid to open some of these now, even after I read them. They'll fall apart. All right. Next book that I read. This one you guys may have actually heard of, Communion by Whitley Strieber. This book's freaking wild. It's a true story, or based on it's what happened to Whitley Strieber, if you believe in such things like this. It's very intense. It was made into a movie as well. It's a wild read. There's another book, I can't remember the name of it. It's like the second one. I read that one too, but I didn't read that one because of Hellier. Hellier originally took me to this one, and because of reading it, I read the second one, which was pretty wild. But it talks about like his experience with abduction and all of that stuff. All right. So yeah, Communion, Whitley Strieber. I read The Great God Pan. This one's pretty slim. But yeah, they get into some rituals and stuff that have to do with Pan in the series. And so I read this one. This is a pretty interesting read. This is a fiction book, but it gives you a story about Pan that is very creepy, but was very interesting. The next one, The Secret Commonwealth of Elves, Fauns, and Fairies by Robert Kirk. And supposedly, after he wrote this book, he disappeared and was taken by the fairies. At least from my memory, I believe that's what supposedly happened. So yeah, this book, Secret Commonwealth of Elves, Fauns, and Fairies. It's quite interesting. You know, they talk about the offering of food to the fairies and how they're kind of little tricksters and whatnot, the little people. Here, I'll read you the back. So, late in the 17th century, Robert Kirk, an Episcopalian minister in the Scottish Highlands, set out to collect his parishioners' many striking stories about elves, fauns, fairies, doppelgangers, wraiths, and other beings of, in Kirk's words, a middle nature betwixt man and angel. I'm not going to read the whole thing because that would go on for a while, but that gives you kind of an idea. So next up, we have Visitors from Lanulos by Woodrow Derenberger. This is about the story that is supposed to be a true story about when Woodrow Derenberger met Indrid Cold one night on a highway. And Indrid Cold is an alien that landed his ship by this guy and talk to him, and then they have this relationship that continues on for several years. All of these books tie into the docuseries Hellier, and if you want a wild ride, and if you like to read and go crazy with books, maybe you'll go as crazy as I did and get 16 books. And I've read every single one of these. Some of these I might reread too. All right, another big one that is featured in the series is The Mothman Prophecies by John Keel. No, it's Mothman Hat, Mothman Prophecies. We actually, this past year, went to West Virginia and visited the town that this took place in. I can't talk words. Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Here, I'll read you the back to give you, if you don't know, a little bit of a backstory in this book. So, West Virginia, 1966. For 13 months, the town of Point Pleasant is gripped by a real-life nightmare culminating in a tragedy that makes headlines around the world. Strange occurrences and sightings, including a bizarre winged apparition that becomes known as the Mothman, trouble this ordinary American community. Mysterious lights are seen moving across the sky, domestic animals are found slaughtered and mutilated, and journalist John Keel, arriving to investigate the freakish events, soon finds himself an integral part in eerie and unfathomable mystery. So this is nonfiction, and they made a movie about this. There's also a movie. So yeah, we went there this past year. We visited the Mothman Museum. We went to the TNT area where the domes are that Mothman was sighting. So I can't talk today. Sighted. I actually have pictures from there. We'll probably put that up on the Ko-Fi page. So anyone that is a part of that, if you're a $1 subscriber and up, you'll be able to see that. I was gonna probably compile a list of all the books and put that on the Ko-Fi supporter page. Anyway, shameless self-plug. Another book that was written by John Keel that is very visible in this series that they talk about is Flying Saucer to the Center of Your Mind. John Keel. Yes. And so this one is a collection of his magazine articles that he wrote throughout the years. And it's pretty great. I've read a bunch more of his books, too, after reading some of these. Like, one of them, The Eighth Tower, I can't remember. I want to say persnickety, pernacious something. I don't know. There's a few other ones I've read of his. Anywho, yeah, Flying Saucer to the Center of Your Mind. We're getting weirder, guys. Sin is a weirdo. I embrace the weird, though. All right. Next up, we have... I'm going to bring these ones up together. So we have another book that was prominently featured in the series, The Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts by Alan Greenfield. So there's a whole secret cipher that is a weird language of the Euphonauts that the cipher discovers and breaks a code, basically, that the alleged aliens were communicating in. It's quite a fascinating read. Alan Greenfield in the series. The Newkirks actually have also done, the past 2 years, PhenomenaCon, which is an online paranormal con that they do, which has been amazing. And I hope they do another one this year because that would be really awesome. But he was also on the first one that they did and spoke. And is that guy's a hellion, man. He's wild. He is wild and untamed. We'll say that. And then I read another book by him, which is, I think now that you can get the cipher and this book together, but we have them separately. The Secret Rituals of the Men in Black. So, the Men in Black, most of you have probably seen the movie, but it's based on something that actually existed back in the day when they were like, hey, let's make these people look like fools for saying that they saw aliens and all this stuff. So this is some backstory on the Men in Black, and that was a pretty good read, too. It was wild. Everything's wild. I also got Liber 31, which is by Frater Achad, who was Aleister Crowley's, I don't want to call him his minion. What the heck would they call it? Here, we'll read the back of this. It's not his minion. It was his prodigy. I guess we'll go with his prodigy that they had a falling out with and whatnot. So yeah, Liber 31 was the key to Liber Allegis, which has been a legend in the occult community. Several small editions have appeared, but almost nothing has been done to place this extremely important early work of Frater Achad. Charles Stansfield Jones was his actual name, in perspective. A veteran occult historian, Alan Greenfield, has carefully transcribed Achad's original typescript of Liber 31 and annotated the special edition with a view towards rendering the work lucid and in proper perspective. This is also talked about in the series, and I read this as well. weird stuff. It gets into like, I don't know, the whole code of everything and the secret cipher stuff. So that was another one. All right, continuing on, because I still have a pile. We're working through it. We're getting there. All right, we have A Trojan Feast by Joshua Cutchin. The food and drink offerings of aliens, fairies, and Sasquatch. Yes. Yes. So it's just as the cover says. And it gets into, like, the connection between the fae and aliens, and is it all just the same thing? Ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, all part of one phenomena, interconnected, interlaced. But yeah, so the food and drink offerings. So we'll read a little bit from the back of this as well. So yeah, like it's always been said that if you accept food from the fairies, you'll be stuck in the realm and then you'll never be able to escape. That's according to European folklore. The humble subject of food and anomalistic accounts, just basically the backstory and the folklore analysis of the way that food and drink fits into the broader narrative of these purported strange phenomena. And I think that's a pretty good explanation of it. So yeah, Trojan Feast by Joshua Cutchin. All right. Next up, the Inhumanoids. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So this is by Barton Nunnally. This was a wild read too. So it talks about all these different types of cryptids, places they've been sighted, just accounts of people who have seen them, and this was really good. I really enjoyed this one. It was wild. Most of these books are wild and weird. Yep. All right, another one that is I think this is a staple to the paranormal doorway. Passport to Magonia by Jacques Vallée. This goes into all the different sightings of the types of aliens that have been seen over the years. And this goes way back, like in the 1800s, of when these weird creatures and ships first started being sighted. And it goes from folklore to flying saucers. And it's such a good read. This is a great book. We have a newer, nice hardback cover edition. And we got that Passport to Magonia. Beautiful cover. The many faces of the aliens. Look at that. Look at that. Human, demon, alien. Who knows? We don't know. All right, and the last book I read, which might be my favorite, it's a fiction book, Etidorpha. This book is awesome, and another one I'm going to reread. It's fiction, and it's about this guy who ends up this weird creature on here. You can't see it because the green screen's doing weird stuff. But there's this weird creature that he meets, and he goes into the underground and into these cave systems. And when you get into Hellier, there's a whole talk and a whole thing about the mammoth cave systems and all the stuff underground in Hellier, Kentucky. But this talks about all the weird things that happen as they journey deeper into the caves and all these different creatures and strange encounters that they go through and making it through and out to the other side. And it was a book I really, really enjoyed. And it was so weird. All of these are so weird. Okay, so this was the final book I read. So we just went through 16 books. As I said before, I like to read really weird stuff. And those are the 16 books I read because of watching Hellier. And oh my goodness, what a wild ride. And I can't wait to see what comes in the future for what the next season of Hellier is going to be. I can only imagine it's going to be wilder and weirder and I don't know. But if you can and want to, watch the series. It's so great. If you like books and you want to discover some weird stuff, all of these books, I guess if I had to pick one to start with, I would say John Keel's The Mothman Prophecies, because it's not super huge, it's a good read, and I think it's kind of a good starting place. And then maybe Passport to Magonia, and then get into whatever else you want to. Thank you for joining me as I told you about all the weird books I've read since watching Hellier, which is amazing. The links will be down in the channel if you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Until next time, stay weird, read weird things. You don't have to read weird things. Read a book. Escape to another world, and then maybe we'll talk about it. Till next time, have a good